welcome to Camille Was Here. I'm Camille and I'm coming at you today from Lisbon, Portugal with the 10 things to know before you visit Lisbon, Portugal. So let's jump right in with number 10. Lisbon is a city of 7 hills. That's what it's known for, and it's aptly named because there are lots of hills in Lisbon. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. You can definitely expect to have sore calves if you decide to walk. But if you don't want to walk, there are trams, there are buses, there are electric scooters and electric bicycles to get around the city. But be prepared. Don't be surprised when you get here and you realize that it's a very hilly place. Number 9, Ubers are super cheap. It's almost as cheap as taking public transportation. So if you need to get somewhere really fast, I would recommend calling an Uber. And they get here really fast. Like the average amount of time we've had to wait is 2 or so minutes before an Uber arrives after we've called it. Number 8, if you go to a sports game, and I would recommend you do so, Sporting Portugal is the name of the team here in Lisbon, they do not sell beer. I know, that's really weird. Whenever you go to a game in the States, it's like the thing to do to buy some beer, some expensive beer, and sit in the stadium and watch the game, but they don't do that here. And you should also be aware that they launch fireworks in the stadium. The fans will sneak in fireworks and they will launch them. So I would recommend staying away from like the crazy fan area because that tends to be the area where they do that sort of thing. Everywhere else in the stadium was pretty safe. So be aware of that. Number 7. It does get cold here in Lisbon, Portugal. I know that this tends to be the place people think is a lot warmer, and it is a lot warmer. I'm here in January, but it does get chilly. I'm talking about the 60s, the 50s Fahrenheit, and the houses here don't have heaters. Yeah, so they don't have heaters built in and the insulation is not so great. So it does get cold and you might want to bring like a blanket or get some extra layers or bring some warm sleepwear because you will get cold here if you are visiting in the winter months. Number 6. Well, we've been looking for things to do and places to go, of course. And we have found it to be the case that a lot of places are closed on Mondays, and Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, like early days in the week. It's just closed. Like they'll open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the beginning of the week it'll be closed. And sometimes Google doesn't have the updated times of operation or hours of operation or days of operation. So I would say to be sure, check the website or the social media account of whatever place you're trying to visit to make sure that it's open before you go. Number 5. I have an Amex card, and unfortunately here in Lisbon, a lot of places do not take Amex, and you have to have a PIN. If you don't have a PIN, you're from the United States, your card doesn't have a PIN, you'll be kind of shut out of luck. So make sure before you sit down somewhere and order your food that you ask if Amex, if you're bringing Amex, is accepted there, or if you only can pay in cash, because that's the case a lot of these places, and dine, and then we find out that it's cash only, and you don't want to be stuck in a predicament where you cannot pay for your meal. So before you sit down, ask, and you might want to bring cash with you. Number 4. It's a thing here where you're charged for bread baskets, but the waiters won't tell you that. They'll just bring a bread basket to your table and put it down, and if you eat it, you are charged. Or they'll ask if you want water, and you'll say yes, and you're expecting maybe tap water, and you will get filtered water, which they charge you for. So it'll be like water in a bottle, which you'll get in the States and it'll be free, but because it's filtered, they'll charge you for it. Number 3, there are a lot of kind of dilapidated buildings here in Lisbon. Like a lot of buildings with graffiti on them, they're abandoned, they're old, and it can be a little bit scary walking in these areas that are so deserted. It gets very deserted at night in the week and also on the weekends. So that's a little strange. You know, you think if you're walking around on the weekends, there'll be lots of people and you won't feel scared to walk in the neighborhood, but the combined elements of abandoned buildings with graffiti and kind of dirty streets and no one else being around can be scary. So I would recommend not really walking around at night. Just take an Uber. As I mentioned, they are super cheap. So just jump into an Uber if it's late at night and you want to go somewhere. And then of course you have to avoid those hills. So that's a plus. Number 2, everyone here speaks English, which is great if you don't speak Portuguese, and I don't. So don't worry about brushing up on your Portuguese. I mean, you should probably say obrigado or hola when you enter places and leave, but if you ask, and you should ask before you just start speaking English to someone and presume that they speak it, even though they probably do, you are totally good to come here if you don't speak Portuguese and get around, and people will be able to help you and you'll be able to communicate with them just fine. Last but not least, the number 1 thing to know before you visit Lisbon is that there will be a lot of people who will ask you if you want to buy drugs. If you go in any touristy area, you will be bombarded by guys hanging around, pretending to sell glasses or selfie sticks or little knickknacks and trinkets, and they will really invade your personal space and basically try to sell you weed, cocaine, a bunch of drugs, and they'll be like cops 5 feet away, but they will still try to offer you drugs. So yeah, that's not a great thing about Lisbon, but be prepared for that to happen and just try to avoid eye contact with these people. Like, just try to sidestep them, go around them, and ignore them, and they'll leave you alone. Anyways, that is my top 10 list of things to know before you visit Lisbon. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe this video if you found it useful, and so that you can be alerted to every time I upload a new travel video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!